Hello and welcome. I'm Molly Christensen with Building Heroes at Home, and I'm thrilled that you're here for this info session today. So first thing I'm going to do is share my screen with you so that we can do this thing. So this is the info session for the Building Heroes curriculum bundle. So you can learn more about what it looks like and how it works and why it's important. So if you don't know me, I'm Molly Christensen. I'm a wife and mother. I have 7 kids between ages 11 and 28. I've been homeschooling for like, I don't know, 20 something years. I have a bachelor's degree in engineering. I am also a trained life coach, and I've started a lot of different co-ops and taught a lot of different kids and adults. So I have kind of this random mixture of experiences. And so I bring those all together to be an entrepreneur, of course. I think all these life experiences came together to create this very unique program. And so I'm excited to share that with you. It really is a journey. All these things just add up in such an interesting way. So what most homeschool moms, after working with hundreds of homeschool moms, and being one myself, I've discovered this is what most homeschool moms think would solve their homeschool issues. Either getting the perfect curriculum or having more time and money to buy the perfect curriculum or classes or a maid or a cook or whatever, or having more patience or better, more obedient, more perfect type kids that are better suited to this, okay? Yes, I have thought of all of these things. I really have. I understand, and quite frankly, I personally was getting very frustrated with, why can't I figure this all out? Why is this so hard? Because, you know, I'm reasonably smart. I should be able to figure this out. But really what I discovered is it's not that easy, because there are so many moving parts to make homeschool work. Like, don't you love this lady? She's hanging her socks on the hanger. Okay, who does that? No one. But, you know, I was just like, man, there's just so much. So one day I just thought, you know what, I'm going to write this all down. I'm going to write down everything that I feel like I'm responsible for and that I'm trying to manage. So I start writing this down. I'm writing things down like meal planning, home repair, clothing management, chauffeuring, relationship with the kids, relationship with husband, keeping the home in order, setting goals, creating habits, first aid, food storage, chores, spiritual development, time management, money management, food prep. Oh, you know what? The list just goes on and on and on. And when I wrote that down, I was just like, holy cow. And then on top of that, I'm trying to homeschool the kids too, right? And you're like, no wonder this is so hard. I really didn't have any idea why I was struggling until I actually took a good look at all the things I was trying to manage on my plate. And you know, then I was making it worse for myself too, because I was beating myself up for not being able to do a better job at all these things. So what I finally discovered actually really changed everything for me. And this is a pattern that I'm going to show you right here. This is the pattern that changes everything. And it's the pattern of the hero's journey. And you may have heard of this before if you're in entrepreneurship or if you're into literature. That's kind of the 2 places where it really shows up. But basically, this whole pattern, the idea of it, of the hero's journey, is that there's a story of an ordinary person. And that ordinary person gets a call to action to do something that's maybe a little scary, a little uncomfortable, but so because it's uncomfortable, that ordinary person says, I'm not going to do that. And that's the refusal. Well, because that call to action was to do something good, to make something better out of his life, the hero of the hero's journey decides to do it. And so they commit to action. And then along the way on the journey, they may meet a mentor who's been where they want to go and can guide them, or they may meet some allies who are on that same path. But then they're also probably going to run into tests and traps, challenges, obstacles, and maybe even people who are trying to stop them on that journey. And as the hero goes on this journey, the hero was just acting on the call to action to do something good, but this is how the hero learns and grows and becomes better. So I'm looking at this hero's journey going, yeah, that's pretty cool. And you can recognize that in movies and in books and in all the ancient myths. I mean, this pattern is everywhere. It's even in marketing when we see that pattern. I thought it was pretty cool at first, but when I one day had this thought, this is really the pattern for my homeschool, because this is the pattern for education and growth. This is the pattern of our own whole lives. This is the journey we're taking. This is the pattern for when we are trying to learn anything new. And so when I know this pattern, the beautiful thing is it can make things predictable. It's predictable that I'm going to have to do uncomfortable things to become better. It's predictable that I'm going to run into challenges, but it's also predictable that I can have a mentor and allies to help me through this journey and to keep getting through the obstacles and making progress and having success. So it basically took me from reframing my homeschool as a thing where I had to do everything, and I had to make sure I was doing it perfectly, and I had to make sure I was filling my kids, checking off all the lists, and making sure they knew everything. Now that is huge amount of pressure. So when I started reframing a homeschool like this, all of a sudden I realized I don't have to teach them everything. What I need to do is teach them how to go on this journey. And when you distill it down like that, wow, what a load off your shoulders. I just need to teach them how to take the journey, and then they can learn anything that they need to learn. For me, that was just a huge aha. I didn't have to live this life where I was just always putting out the fires and saying, oh my gosh, got to do this, got to do that, got to teach this, got to do this. I was feeling like I was always putting out the fires like that, always running, never actually accomplishing anything. That's a hard way to live, and it's exhausting. And so when I started to reframe my mindset like this, that I just needed to teach my kids navigational skills, really, to go on this journey, that all of a sudden I could feel so much more confident in my homeschool and a lot less stressed out. So that's great. But oh, I forgot to show this earlier. This is how it changes things. This is how I felt before, like a human running on a giant hamster wheel, never going anywhere, right? To the mom who is supporting building her children on that hero's journey, building heroes at home. So that the question was, though, well, that's a great reframe, but how do I do it? How can I possibly figure out how to teach them to navigate the journey? So I distilled it down from having to teach them a million things, but how do I teach them how to do that journey? So as I studied and pondered and researched and tried things, I realized it really comes down to a few things. Number one is we got to teach them good character. And we need to use true life principles that help us have success in life. It also has to be very simple to use and adaptable and flexible, because otherwise we're not going to do it. And we have to make this learning enjoyable for both mom and the kids, because I don't know about you, but like a lot of these curriculum that I have seen, my kids do not like, and I like to help them even less, I think, if it's like rough for me. And then we also always have to keep that big picture in mind of the whole journey. We got to keep that vision in mind. We've got to be aware of the whole journey so that we can remember where we're going, what we're trying to do. We're trying to teach our kids to navigate that hero's journey. So I was like, man, I just need something that's flexible enough to adapt to my life so that I can implement these principles that are going to help me remember my kids, but it also has to be structured enough that I'm actually going to make some progress too. So I looked everywhere. I was like, I can't find this anywhere, because most curriculum is just too rigid. It's not flexible. It's not very enjoyable. It's not even based on modern neuroscience of how we learn. And, so then a lot of us, what we do is we try unschooling, but then unschooling is maybe a little too loose sometimes. And we start feeling mom guilt because what are the kids actually doing? And it doesn't give enough structure. And a lot of times the homeschool solutions, they don't really understand the life of a busy homeschool mom. And it just doesn't give you support for the journey. So, it's kind of crazy that way that I could not find anything. So I want you to think back to when you had your first child and you've looked into that baby's eyes and you're like, wow, this kid is amazing. And you just fell in love with this amazing little human being that loves you so much, and you love that child back so much too. You're like, oh my goodness, this wonderful person has so much potential. I'm going to do whatever it takes to help this child grow up and be good and successful. But then life sneaks in and you get busy. It's hard to manage it all. And your kid, well, they're not really thinking about how much potential they have. And they're not really thinking about how good they want to be. They're thinking more of throwing fits and power struggling with you. And they're really not acting like it. And you totally forget. And you forget who that child really is. And that's probably one of the biggest tragedies, because then you give up and you don't want to fight anymore. And sometimes we just settle. And that's not right either. And so that's why I was like, even though I couldn't find anything for the solution to be able to homeschool like this, that's why I had to create it, because I wanted to be able to always to remember that my kids have this goodness and this greatness inside. So that's why I created this Building Heroes curriculum. And that's why in this info session, you're going to learn about the curriculum bundle, which is even cooler, okay? The problem is I just needed something to help me remember every day what was really important. Because, I mean, if you're like me, you can get caught up in the daily grind and you forget. You do. And, if I'm not intentional about remembering, it's not going to happen. And that's not what I wanted either. So I wanted the system that was going to be simple and flexible for my crazy busy life. And it was easy enough to do on the crazy days, and I also have to be able to enjoy it myself. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to bring the enthusiasm. Yay, more worksheets of your math. No, see, it's not going to happen. Instead, I'm going to be like, just do it. The curriculum says. But I wanted to be able to enjoy that learning time with my kids. And most importantly, I wanted to be able to have this system support us on our own hero's journeys, because we were never meant to go on these hero journeys all alone. We weren't meant to learn and grow all alone. So, I mean, when you're going to hit those obstacles on your path, because that's part of the pattern, you need that support to keep on going. And that is really true education, because true education, what it does is you learn how to use the knowledge and resources you already have, and you figure out how to gain the knowledge and resources you might need in order to solve problems. And that's how you get around the challenges of life. And that's really why this whole program is centered around teaching your kids to learn how to navigate their own journeys. Because that really is the most important skills that you can teach your kids, is how to be successful on their paths. So this is what Tanya said about this program. She said she's been homeschooling since the beginning with her 6 kids, number 7 on the way. And she said, I've tried all kinds of curriculum, and I bet many of you can relate to that too. I know I did. She said, I've always tried to create some ways to teach the family together, but I've never been able to find another curriculum that is as complete or as simple as this one. And they are loving the adventure. So at the end, she just says here, all in all, this is a strong program, really one that I have been searching years for. I'm so happy I found it. And that made me, when I read that, when she first sent that over, I was just like, you've been searching for years for it too, like me. But I got that call to action to create it. So I'm so glad that it could bless other people's lives as well. So who is this for? Okay, there's so much stuff out there, and it's hard to know what to pick, right? But this is really for homeschool moms who want to have kids with a strong character, who know how to navigate their life's journeys, and they know how to stand for good. And they have that strength of character to do it. This is for homeschool moms who want to simplify the whole homeschooling process. It doesn't have to take 7 hours a day. No, it can be way simpler than that. It's also for homeschool moms who want to have an enjoyable homeschool and avoid the power struggles, because the kids don't have to power struggle because it's interesting and fun. And it's also for moms who want a strong relationship with their kids, which I assume that one would include pretty much all moms that are watching this. And it's also for homeschool moms who want a supportive community with these allies and a mentor, and, you know, strength in numbers for other people who are trying to build kids who are standing for good. So this is also for homeschool moms, no matter where you are on the journey. Now, on this little journey here, as I've worked with homeschool moms, I noticed this pattern, because I connected it to the hero's journey, and I thought, okay, I can see that most of us go through this predictable pattern for homeschooling. Okay, we usually start off, we're the explorer, we're the new, we're thinking of homeschool, but we're not really sure, and we receive a call to action that maybe we should homeschool, we're thinking it, but we have that refusal because we don't know if we can do it. And then the next one is the trailblazer, and that's when you've committed to action and you jump right in. You're like, yes, I made all these plans. It's gonna be so great. It's kind of scary, but it's fun. And you've got that enthusiasm. And then on the third level there, you are kind of the wanderer, because all of a sudden you see, wait, I'm on the journey. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I'm hitting these challenges. So I'm going to keep trying a new curriculum or another new curriculum, because surely that will solve my problems. We all do this, right? Then after that, I call it the adventurer. You've been going at it for a long time, for years now, and you're doing it, and you've got some things figured out, but overall you're like, I really should have it better by now. I might be failing my kids, but I'm still gonna do it because I'm committed. I think I can, but I'm not sure if I can. And then there comes a point where you finally get to that place where you can be a homeschool guide too, and you're just like, I've got this. Most days are great. I can help other people too. So no matter where you are in the homeschool journey, this program is going to work for you, because if you're new, you can shorten the learning curve and should jump right into homeschool methods that work, and they're workable because you can fit them into your life. If you're the one that's been wandering around looking for the solutions, this is going to work for you, because you're going to be totally supported on it, even if you've tried all of the other curriculums and they haven't worked for you. You're going to learn how to implement this in your home. And then if you're a veteran, what I usually hear from veterans is like, oh, this is the curriculum I always wanted, and they're thrilled to find it. So what this program is not for moms who are total DIYers, okay? Now that doesn't mean that if you've been DIYing it that you can't change, because that actually was me. But some people really do just want to DIY it, and that's fine, okay? But you can, if you're tired of DIYing it, then you will probably really like this program, because it's kind of an in-between thing. It's not for moms who don't want to do any of the homeschooling themselves, which is fine. Maybe you want to outsource everything. That's great. You are going to have to do some with this, but it's not a whole ton. So if you do want to do some of homeschooling of your kids, this will probably be the simplest way to do it. It's also not for moms who feel like you have to copy public school, because this isn't going to look like public school. Not much at all. It doesn't have textbooks. It doesn't have workbooks. It doesn't have tests. You don't have to do it from 9 to 3 every day. We're not basing our success on tests either. Instead, we are focusing on developing character and teaching kids skills of how to navigate their own journeys. That doesn't mean we're ignoring academics though. they're still going to learn that, but they're going to learn it in the context of their own journeys. So if you want a public school curriculum one that looks like that, then this is not for you. And that's fine, because we can all choose what we want to do. Okay, so when you get the Building Heroes bundle, you're going to get an entire program that's going to allow you to do all sorts of great things. Oh, sorry, my alignment is off on the slide. I'll have to fix that. But what you're first of all going to get is this simple, flexible curriculum for your homeschool foundation. What I mean by that is it's going to cover all the basics, and you can complete that daily, and you're going to feel good that you've covered something every day by using the curriculum. It is character-based and principle-based, and it's enjoyable for mom and kids. I get so many moms that say, oh my gosh, I am learning as much as my kids, if not more. It covers math, language arts, history, science, music, and art. And it is family style, so you're going to teach all the kids at once, and it only takes an hour a day of your time, which is kind of how I like it. I personally do not have patience to sit down with my kids for 7 hours and make them do schoolwork all day long. Instead, I want to just sit down for an hour with them and have this foundational learning where we all enjoy it, and we are building relationships because we're having that shared learning experience. It's going to help you build heroes in your home because you're going to help teach them how to go on that journey. It's going to help you incorporate your homeschooling and your life, because it's, you know, you've probably heard homeschoolers say this before, homeschool is life. Yeah, it is. And it's going to give you that cohesiveness you've been wanting. It's also going to help you see the bigger picture of education, and you're going to get the support and the connections that you need. So what does it look like? Well, this is a 5-year program, and the bundle is for year 1, and you're going to get a PDF curriculum of each subject area, the math, language arts, history, and science. So the way this is all set up, I will show you here. You basically have the 4 subjects, and within each subject, you have 8 units. So in each unit, each unit is intended to take about a month. So we gave it 8 units because in a typical school year, there's 9 months. But usually when you're homeschooling, you may want to take December off, or maybe you want to take May off or whatever. But each unit could take longer than a month too. So we wanted that to be flexible in that way. Okay, so within each unit, to explain this, each unit has 4 sections, and each section is about a week. And within each week, you have 2 lessons, okay? So to add this all up, each week you would do 2 lessons in each subject. So that's 8 lessons. Now the lessons are all really short. They're going to be between 15 to 30 minutes. And you can mix and match the lessons however you want. But if you do 2 lessons a day, you actually really only have to do this 4 days a week. And day 5 is going to be catch-up day, laundry day, field trip day, nature day, whatever you want it to be. Or it could be day 1. So it's flexible that way. Now each lesson, what we did was we created it so that there was a learn section, a wonder section, and a do section. So the learn part is where you're going to be telling stories and giving them information and interesting facts in that short lesson. You can read it or you can just say it in your own words. And then the wonder section is probably one of my favorite. This is where it all comes alive, because we are still studying academics, but we're doing it in the context of character and principles. So on the wonder section is where we're going to start connecting it all to the principles. Now, there are principles that are in each unit, and they are the same across each subject. So you got principles in history that are the same in math, and the same in science, and the same in language arts. And so when they start just learning these principles from 4 different angles, they're going to assimilate those a lot better. And then when they do the wonder questions, they're going to make connections to themselves, to the hero's journey. and to those principles. And when they make connections, guess what? That's when it starts to stick in your brain and they remember it, and it feels good and it makes you happy because you're like, oh, that's so cool, because you just made a connection. And then the last part of the lessons is the do. The do part is a simple hands-on activity to cement the learning. And we try to make this really simple for busy homeschool moms because you don't want to go around and have to buy this list of random ingredients or stuff. We made it so that you should have all the stuff on hand for the do activities. And then once you finish the lessons for the week, you also have additional activities if the kids are digging that topic, and you can go deeper into that topic and have more fun with that as well. So each lesson is short, and you could even say Charlotte Mason-esque if you're into that. And everything is history-based and story-based as well, because our brains make much better connections when we have a story. Our brains learn really well with stories. Okay, so the year one overview, you can see here that the character, the principal, we have these principles or these character traits, and then principles that go along with the character traits with each unit. So in history, for example, you're going to learn about this hero, and you're going to learn about the area that the heroes come from, and the art and the music as well. And then for language arts, you're going to have these short little lessons as well, but you also have a read aloud. And then for science, you in year one, it is life science, and so you're going to learn about patterns and observation and classifying, and you're going to learn about the animals too. And then in math, is the history of math. So year one is really the vision theme, where you start to get the big picture of the whole history of the world. And all of these topics are history-based and insofar as possible. But with math, this is unique too, because it's unlike any other math program, because you're all going to learn it together as a family, but you're going to be going through the history of math so you can understand how they even came up with all these math equations that you might find boring. Okay, and then this is the 5-year overview, and over 5 years, you're going to cover all the core standards topics between K through 6. And what I did is I went through and I looked at all those standards, and I thought, you know, these topics are good to learn about. It's just that I don't know that I want to have to make my kids learn it at a certain year if they're not interested in it or whatever. And so why don't we just keep repeating it every 5 years, because that's what you do in school anyway. And repetition is another method of learning that does work. And every time you go back to it, you're going to learn at a different level. Now, we do suggest that everybody starts with vision, even if you've studied some of these topics before, because it's going to be totally different when you look at it through a principal character-based lens as well. Okay, so this is what Jen said. She said, I will support this all day long because it is the only thing that works for us. Teach their own, but over the course of 6 years, homeschooling my kids, the forcing method does not work. So she just goes on and on, or she doesn't go on and on, that's not what I meant to say, but she goes on and saying about how she tried to get her kids to learn, but it just doesn't work. She's like, they start defying you and the material gets harder and it isn't as fun anymore. And so she's like, you'll be wondering why your method doesn't work anymore, but BHA saved us. Okay, so with this bundle, you're getting the 4 main areas, the language arts, math, science, and the other one that I forgot, history. But you're also going to get the extra yearly resources that are add-ons to the curriculum. So for writing, you're going to have a yearly writing project with all the printables so that they can write their personal history. And the kids enjoy doing this even if they don't like writing. Or you can even write it down for them if they're not fluent enough yet. But you're going to get these extra yearly resources to help the kids see the bigger picture. So a writing project is going to help them see, oh, this is why we write, so we can record things that are important to us. You're also going to get the timeline from the history with all the history heroes on it, and you're going to get the science classification chart, and you're going to get minute math to help them practice their individual calculation skills. And there's other yearly resources that are in there that are updated as we get them. Okay, next thing is you're going to have a whole vault of online resources, which is super cool. So basically what this is for each unit, you are going to get extra videos from YouTube and activities and trying to think of the word, websites that coordinate with the topics in the unit. And this is awesome because if they want to learn more, that's a great way to do it, but you don't have to go searching the whole internet to find stuff that's appropriate for your kids either. So this is the only part where the kids would be on the computer if that concerns you or not, but all of the stuff is right in the member vault, so you can access that as additional helps. And then the final bonus that comes with this bundle, and this is probably my favorite because this is where we build the community, okay? And this is where you get a lot of extra support and help. You get 1 year's access to the Hero Journey membership. And this is super cool because gotta make sure I tell you all the things. Okay, this is the reason why I created this. I didn't want to just sell you a curriculum and then just leave you hanging, because a journey, you really do need support, and you really do need to be able to learn how to navigate the journey so that you can teach your kids as well. So you do get 1 year's access for free. Now, what the membership looks like is that every month you're going to get a training challenge. And you might be thinking, I don't have time for that. Well, this is all things that you already are doing, but you just maybe want to get a little better at, and then it's going to take you less time. And I've created these training challenges with busy moms in mind, because I completely understand. I'm a busy mom too. And so you get a couple short videos and a workbook, and then you'll have a challenge to accomplish, and you get to set that challenge. It doesn't have to take a lot of extra time, and it usually doesn't. And then you're going to work on that challenge during that month, and it's going to feel so good. And it does feel so good because you make progress, and you can feel that. We like making progress as human beings. We don't like to just sit down on our journey in a pile of mud. That doesn't feel good. So with that, you also are going to get a Q&A call that's live and recorded. And on that, you can ask your questions, and you can listen in and hear all the other questions you didn't even know you had, get answers to. You also will get a guest training for extra insights on that topic. You also will get an end of the month live accountability call. We call it our Connect and Celebrate call, so we can check in with each other, see how we're doing, which is awesome. And then another fun thing is mom time. And this is dedicated time where you just hop on a Zoom call, and then you get to make progress on those areas or those things that you need extra accountability for, or just things that have been bugging you. Like sometimes people will just go clean out the closet or something like that, or maybe they'll make their homeschool plans. It's just whatever you choose, but it's just so good because it makes you do it. And then the last part, of course, is the amazing community. We have some wonderful, wonderful homeschool women in that group, and they all are engaged in the same cause. They all want to build heroes in their home, and we're all working together to make progress and to stand for good. And so I love that part of it, because we were never meant to go on our journeys alone. And you got to have some allies. You don't want to do this alone. And it's also a place to be real. And like you don't have to be perfect in that place, because like seriously, we're just making progress, and we're starting wherever we are. You don't have to show up and say, oh, I've got it all together and pretend, because we're all moms and we're all real that way too. So this is one thing that Tanya said in the membership. She showed this cute picture, and she said, if you zoomed in, you would see my two kids holding hands, looking at each other, talking as they're climbing the hill. And as she was sitting on the trail enjoying it, she was thinking about that there's so much beauty and peace in the simplicity and family and nature. Oh, and I love that. And they were out looking for connections of numbers and math in nature. and they were looking for God's beauty in creation, and they were looking for solitude time and having gym class, or maybe they were in school, I don't know, but she summed it up in one word, that she was grateful. And then Nicole said this in the membership. She shared a couple of quick success stories. She, in one of the challenges, there was a worksheet that had you draw a picture, and she said it was a bit late. She really didn't want to do it. She kind of groaned to herself. But she said, because I've worked with Melly on other things, and she's like, I've been amazed at the results when I do what she tells me to. She knew she could trust me, and so she did it. The next morning, she got up and she was pretty energetic and enthusiastic. And she said typically she has some low energy dips, but she felt a change after she had done that exercise, which she really wasn't expecting. And it was great. Her next story was about when some people posted in a homeschool Facebook group that they had some extra camping spots. And she had wanted to take her kids camping, but she hadn't really ever dared before. And her husband couldn't go, and she didn't know the other families, and she decided to go. And she said that was huge for her because her kids range from 2 to 12. And so she made all the preparation. She went for it. She went out and she went camping, and starts to rain, of course. And so this is probably my favorite part. She said, I had to smile to myself. Here you go. Do your hero thing. And what she meant by that is she wanted to reframe her story as a hero's journey. And so she's like, how can I be a hero in this moment to my kids? And so she did. They went out, they put up the tent, and they had a fabulous time. So at the end of this thing, she says, framing life as hero journey is helping me build resilience, and it helps me enjoy the challenge more. So I just love that, because that's what we're looking for. We're trying to reframe our lives as this adventure. It doesn't have to be a drudgery. It's so fun when we can understand the bigger picture of it all, and we can make progress and do great things. So this is the complete Building Heroes curriculum bundle. And with that, you're going to get everything you need for all the kids for 1 year, with math, language, arts, history, and science, the whole curriculum. And you'll also get the yearly bonuses, or resources, I guess. And then the online resource library, and 1 year of the membership. And the total value of that is over $1,200. And you'll probably get some other bonuses in there too that I maybe forgot to mention, or that I just like to put in. But really, it's everything that you need to create a homeschool that you love, that you all love, for just $297. So here's another one from Bridget. She said, this curriculum is so simple to use, but packed with so much meat. My children and I feel we're learning so much every time we do a lesson together. The kids are 10, 8, and 6. Sometimes the lessons are a little too complex for the 6-year-old, but there's so many suggestions to help include the little one. We do 2 lessons a day, and we finish in about 30 minutes. It can go longer if my kids want to do the activities, which they often do. It gives us time throughout the day to work on their individual needs, like reading or math, talents, foreign languages, music, and not mention time to do chores and go out and play. There's so much peace of mind knowing that we have started our homeschool day on good, solid footing. It's been so much fun for my kids to learn together in a group, and wonderful for me that I don't need to do a lot of prep work to have a great lesson for them. Thank you, Building Heroes Academy, for all the hard work that you've put into this to make our homeschool day smoother. I love that. And this is really what makes it all worth it. And then I love what Mary says too. She said, this has seriously been the perfect fit for our family. So much rich content and options to keep us busy, as well as quick options on days where we just needed to learn and move on. I learned so much, and so did my kids. The material was filled with thoughtful questions and had us exploring topics I wouldn't have brought up on my own, but I was delighted and surprised at how well the kids were able to use their critical thinking skills to come up with their own conclusions, and how it allowed them to think about things in different ways. Teaching them how to think instead of what to think, and creating independent learners who are not just taking in knowledge, but instead they're making it their own. This is the kind of education I've always wanted to offer to my kids, but it saves me so much time and money from having to compile it all myself. It was the perfect step up from my unschooling methods to giving us just the right amount of boost without being overkill or sucking everyone's joy of learning away. I know, right? So then she describes it more, and I love this. She says the 4-day program was perfect, allowing us to pursue field trips or additional learning on our own on the 5th day. There were tons of quality book suggestions, and we loved being immersed in stories each day, along with tons of nonfiction materials too. I loved being able to teach all 3 kids at the same time and to see their own takeaways from the lessons. For once, I did not experience burnout and actually looked forward to opening up the materials every day. I cannot recommend this program highly enough. I told my kids today was the last day, and they were actually disappointed. I'm not sure I would have believed that was possible, but I am thankful for this past year and for this affordable family style program. I'm looking forward to year 2 after our summer break. So this is the Building Heroes curriculum bundle that I went over, but actually I didn't tell you this. It's actually going to be $197 for a limited time, and that's because the price is going to go up to $297. We're building a store so that you can buy the pieces individually, and you'll see that when I say the value is this, that is what their prices are going to be on that store. But until then, for this very limited window, you can still get it for just $197, and that is incredible value. In fact, it's ridiculously cheap for all the value you're going to get. I mean, where else are you going to get a whole year's worth of support along with the curriculum for that price? So I am pretty excited about this, and I really hope that you are too, and that you want to join this as well. So it really is the time to create that homeschool that you've always wanted to, but I think I might have skipped the FAQs, and I'm not really actually sure how to get back there. So you know what? Oh, my FAQ slide disappeared. Well, that makes sense of why I couldn't find it, I guess. Okay, well, I stopped sharing, but maybe I should share that again, because that's how you get it. That's so funny. I don't know what happened to it. Okay, so if you're interested in getting that special pricing, well, the website is buildingheroesathome.com/building-heroes, and that's how you can get the special pricing for the limited time for now. But I did want to do some frequently asked questions that I get a lot, because you may have questions. If you do still have questions, you can always click on the link here as well and get answers too. And you can also reach out to me on the website. There's a contact us form, or you can find me on Facebook as well. And we can set up a call, we can chat. We can answer your questions about this as well. So a couple of the frequently asked questions are, what if I've already tried a lot of curriculum and they haven't worked for me? Well, sister, I understand that totally, because I tried them all. And when I finally realized that it wasn't really so much the curriculum necessarily, so much as my not having support and implementation. So that's one thing that this whole program has, is a lot of support with that membership. Plus, we also have a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you haven't downloaded any of the materials, you can just go in and check it out and look at it, and then you can always get your money back as well. Next question is, if this only takes an hour a day, what do the kids do for the rest of the day? I always thought that was kind of a funny question, because I'm like thinking, well, there's so much. But really, the greatest thing to do is to create an environment of learning so that they do keep learning. Like, they're going to go outside and play, they're going to work on projects, or they're going to go climb a tree or whatever. But after we do our family foundational time for that hour a day, I do also expect them still to work on their individual skills. So we keep that really short and simple. So whatever they're ready and willing for, they can do short practice sessions on that. So it might be doing like math facts, it might be typing, it might be doing a little copy work or that sort of thing. And we have all those suggestions inside the program for you as well. Another thing that they can do is they can start businesses when they get a little older. For example, my son right now is doing his lawnmower tune-up business, and he's working on his mowers. My daughter is probably scootering around the neighborhood, but it also gives you the freedom and flexibility to work on those things that light you up as well. And it also gives you time for them to help you do chores as well. So a lot of good things that you can do for the rest of the day. Next question is, what if my kid won't listen? Okay, well, that's a hard one because sometimes they just don't want to listen. But usually what I do in that case is I just do it anyway. And then I'll just act like I'm having a lot of fun because usually I am. And then sometimes I'll bring some food, and that attracts kids as well. So really you just set it up as a rhythm and a habit and expectation, and they typically will come. Sometimes the kids, maybe they're in a grumpy mood. Well, I mean, that happens to all of us. So then you just learn a different lesson that day and figure out how to manage your emotions or something. What else do I need with this curriculum? You won't need anything else to use this curriculum except for some read aloud books. And most of us as homeschool moms are totally fine with buying books. You can check those out from the library as well, but most of us like to own those because they're books that we would probably read again and again. Now, you can also, there's book lists in here too, so you can go to the library for those extra books. I wouldn't buy all those books, that'd be a ton, or probably more than a ton. We also expect that you're going to own basic craft supplies, and there's a list in here as well that most families with kids would already own. But that's basically it. Now, you can use this as a standalone program. You don't have to add anything else to it, but some people do like to add on other curriculum to it, and that's fine too. So, but the way we look at this is just, this is the foundational one. This is all you really need. How much time does this take to prep and teach? Well, this takes not much time to prep and teach. Okay, we did talk about teaching. It only takes like an hour a day, and that's even only like 4 days a week. It doesn't take any time to prep. You literally can pull it right out and do it. Now, it might be helpful if you just looked ahead to see what was coming, but for the most part, you really have very low prep. Okay, next question is how long do I own this for? How long do I have access for this? Well, once you purchase the curriculum bundle, you own those assets, the curriculum, for the lifetime of the product, which we assume will be long. The membership, you get 1 year's access. So you own this year one curriculum, and you can keep that and keep using it and reusing it. The next question is, oh yes, this last question, is this religious? So this is a faith neutral curriculum where there is, the only religion in here is like in a historical context. If you want it to be religious, then you can bring it in with the wonder questions. If you don't want it to be religious, then you don't have to. So really you just bring your own beliefs into it. It's not a religious curriculum. So if you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me at my website, buildingheroesathome.com. If you want this offer before it goes away for $100 off, it is at buildingheroesathome.com. And I noticed I forgot the S in the website link. Whoops. Should have proofread that one. buildingheroesathome.com/buildingheroes. So thank you for watching and spending your time here. And I really do hope that we can build heroes together.